Come on now, bring it. What's wrong? After all, you're the ones who said not to run, right? I'm saying I'm actually shocked you would ever have thought you could beat me with this loser shit. Domain expansion. Infinite void.
Satoru Gojo is alive, but for everything. For everything. It's in a totally different way. Maybe not in the way you want. Without a shadow of a doubt, one of the most surprising things that happened in the Jujutsu universe. The possible death of Satoru Gojo, the legendary, the strongest, the one who is not afraid of anyone. Every fan base wonders, how was Satoru Gojo killed by Tsubutsu? Oops, Sukuna. But the big question here is that in the last Jujutsukaisen manga, after Sukuna once again went through some trouble, a figure appeared again, where we could see, honored. The majestic Satoru Gojo. Ha 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 ha. Then we enter the cat's leap. Is Satoru Gojo alive? And the answer is a little more complex than you might imagine, so we bring 2 points, which I will bring up here throughout this video. So click on the like button to follow all our content about the anime and Jujutsu universe. Without further ado, let's get to the point. The Jujutsukaisen fandom is really nervous about Gojo's return, but stay calm at this time because it may not be the Satoru Gojo that we always liked who appeared at this renowned moment in the manga. Firstly, I want to say that this theory makes a lot of sense, so don't try to hate me, because it's a bad thing. Is it Satoru Gojo or not? Well, there are several ways that bring several possibilities of being the real Satoru Gojo that we know. However, there is the possibility that it is Satoru Gojo's body controlled by Kenjaku. Then you ask yourself, but it's not possible. Kenjaku has already died, friend. When we talk about Jujutsu Kaisen, the most unexpected can always happen and end up leaving everyone's jaw dropped in this story. Our dear Gege Akutami, every hour makes a much crazier stop within the story. But here in this video, in fact, we have to talk about Kenjaku. Kenjaku is very mysterious, very calculist, cold, and doesn't put his emotions over anything. He always acts in the coldest form of reason. Since the Heian era, he drew up his own plan, which was to evolve the human race. He knows that shamans are already part of this evolution. What would it mean for the world to gather a quantity of cursed energy and throw it at a being? Kenjaku has always made this very clear. He is literally a complete villain, perfect for the work, the fusion of Tengen with humanity. His dream has always been to see this. Since the Heian era, he began to cause the great catastrophe. He spent eons doing so. And now, in the Jujutsu era of 2018, he is about to carry out his plan. But still, everything we see that Kenjaku did, it doesn't make much sense for him to die in such a simple way. And laughing. Just like what happened when Yuta threw his katana at his forehead, this made a large part of fandom sad and start saying that it didn't make any sense for this to happen since Kenjaku had to stay until the end of the story, since he had everything to be the biggest villain. He even became a woman to play Itadori, everything working out, and he simply died smiling without seeing his plan. So it's much more plausible that he somehow managed to escape Yuta's obvious death. So in this case, it is much easier than the plan from the beginning with Kenjaku would be to possess Satoru Gojo's body. Ha 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 ha. Now I know you liked it. This would be a huge blow to the fandom because they wouldn't see Satoru Gojo show yet another different ability like the honorable man alive. But in contrast with Kenjaku in the parade, he would probably be able to release a totally overwhelming level of energy from the body of the Satoru Gojo, since the Heian era has been doing this with different and diverse bodies to achieve his dream. But I already know, then you will arrive and start talking. Furthermore, in the fan book, it was said that he never tried to possess someone with celestial restrictions because he doesn't have the power to do so, when in fact what was said was that he never did this because he was afraid that someone with celestial restrictions could dominate his body, because he had never studied this, considering that Toji was the only one who was born that way. In the case of the 6 eyes, he never tried because he never managed to beat someone with 6 eyes. Even so, when the sorcerers with 6 eyes are defeated, as we saw directly in Jujutsu's work, the battles are by far the calmest. Most of the time, a sorcerer is killed. What we always see is a gigantic explosion and practically nothing remains of the sorcerer's body. Even when this happened with Geto, Satoru Gojo himself had said that there was a huge problem with that, and that he made a mistake. So yes, Satoru Gojo blames himself for Kenjaku stealing Geto's body. But still, that would never cross Sukuna's mind since Gojo was already split in half. In this certainty, the correct thing to do is to cremate the body so that Kenjaku cannot take the body of the shamans. But in this case, that wasn't what happened with Satoru Gojo. Are you able to understand what could be happening? Anyone who theorizes who took Gojo's body somewhere is just a theory about HEYYY, but it is still not certain that it was HEYYY who teleported Gojo's body. It is also worth taking into consideration that this was even a theory by Sukuna himself, that HEYYY had taken Gojo's body. However, if even Satoru Gojo is theorizing this, what is going to guarantee that that is in fact what happened? The answer is simple. Nothing will guarantee this. Hahaha Sukuna was always feeling the energy. When it happened with Higurama and Kusakabe, he almost caught HEYYY. If Sukuna was close to Gojo, wouldn't he realize that HEYYY was nearby? There is a lot of possibility that it is Kenjaku who went to take over Gojo's body. Kenjaku may well have taken possession of Geto's body until Yuta's attack, as Geto's power is to control curses. It could be very likely that Kenjaku had controlled a curse that was watching the fight against Satoru Gojo, and after Kenjaku saw on his cell phone that Satoru Gojo was killed by Sukuna, he laughs at a possible death against Yuta. But in this case, he knew that what would be disintegrating at that moment would just be Suguro Geto's body that would no longer be of any use to him. With this, Kenjaku could take possession of the body of the strongest and theoretically dead shaman at that moment. Of course, this is my theoretical point, but if we follow everything that has been happening in these stories, it makes a lot of sense for a lot of things to happen within the story, and Kenjaku and Gojo are characters that in themselves are essential to the saga, so the return of the biggest villain alongside the return of Hornado would drive the fan base crazy. But of course, I said that the way Gojo could return would perhaps be a big blow to a good part of Satoru Gojo's fans. One thing you have to be sure of, many people thought Gege Akutami was crazy after he theoretically ended Gojo, but now everyone is calling him a genius. For people who follow a lot of films, theory, and we are immersed in the history, we know very well that many conspiracy theories and twists can end up happening. Now shit. If you say that Sukuna won't be defeated by anyone, if in fact Kenjaku takes possession of Gojo's body, and you can be sure that the circus will be small for the King of Curses and even worse for Itadori and General. Hahaha. But tell me, what are your thoughts, your theory? Comment here about Gojo and what you think he will show. Did you like the video? Don't forget to leave my like so you don't miss any theories about our insane anime universe. Satoru Gojo. Alive? The Honorable is back. This will stop the world. To the next. Bye.